So it should be easy to tell by looking at me that I haven't been to a barber shop in a really long time. In fact, I haven't gotten my hair cut since right before COVID. I'm changing that today. Reveal in 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I definitely look different. It's funny though, when I went into the barber shop, there was somebody sitting in a chair waiting for their appointment. And he looked at me and he said, "Oh man, I really like your long hair." And for a moment I thought, should I just leave? Am I making like a big mistake here? But I am glad that I went ahead and did it. And I have gotten a lot of really nice compliments about my haircut, both in person and online. Which beggars the question, do I look really good with short hair, or do I just look really shitty with long hair? Either way, it's a change. And for as long as I can remember, I've been addicted to change. And I use that word addicted in all of its negative connotation. Whenever I felt discontent about myself, something that was going on in my life in general, I've always had fantasies about making some sort of change that would fix everything and make me happy. Sometimes I would fantasize about making small changes in my life. I thought that maybe if I had a different job, or I was living in a different place, or I had a new relationship, that I would find something in that would make me happy. But very often I would fantasize about completely starting over with my life. Quitting my job, packing up all my stuff, moving across country, not telling anybody what I was doing, just disappearing, and then creating a brand new life somewhere else. And now I know that sounds radical and crazy, and it sounds that way because it most definitely is. But when you're neurospicy like I am, we very often create masks which determine how we interact with other people. Now, everybody does that because it's appropriate to do so. I mean, your work relationships, you don't treat the same way as your close friends or your family, and obviously you shouldn't. Now, for neurotypical people, they don't really think about those roles as they adapt them. It's just something that they naturally fall into, where in my case, I have to think about and evaluate interactions that I have with people and make a determination as to what the dynamic of that should be. And I have to do it pretty much every time. But that's not an easy thing to do. And I have to admit, I don't always get it right. Sometimes I am a little bit more personal in a situation that doesn't really call for it. And it's gotten me into trouble. But at the same time, I feel like in certain situations, like, when I'm interacting with people in a drive-through, I tend to default more friendly and outgoing than your average neurotypical person does. And I don't think that's a bad thing. But I do believe that with my being neurodivergent, and because of that, I put on masks to help regulate how I interact with other people. Change for me is easier because it's just honestly putting on another mask. I'm not inauthentic with myself. I'm just changing the way that I move and behave in the world. And because it's a mask, I'm not really that emotionally attached to any one particular mask. And so if I have to get rid of one, it's just personal maintenance, really. But I can't just make my life better by popping off one mask and putting on another. Life is more complicated than that. And one major advantage that I've had by learning about my neurodivergence and what that's meant to me and how that affects how I behave in the world has been understanding why I've been so addicted to change, but also understanding that change by itself doesn't really fix anything. But change in itself isn't intrinsically good or bad. It could be one or the other. For example, my haircut has been a very positive change. The last bit of COVID that I've been able to let go of, and I think it's been overdue. But on the other hand, a bad change that's happened in my life has been the recent loss of a family pet. We've had Bingo for well over a decade. He was a rescue animal, and he had become a very vital part of the household and a very loving and kind and friendly companion. But he had reached an age where he was getting really old and he was in a lot of pain all the time. And after having a really terrible seizure, it was pretty clear what needed to happen in that situation. But I do miss Bingo. And if he hadn't been around during those 2 years when we were under lockdown and COVID to help deal with the loneliness and the isolation, I honestly don't know what I would have done. And then we come to my career change. I got a promotion at work to a full managerial position. And although my last position did have managerial duties, I was still doing technical work. I was still doing troubleshooting and fixing of issues. But in this new position, I'm not going to be doing that anymore. What I'm going to be doing is strictly managerial. And that means that for the first time in 30 years, I'm not going to be doing the work that I thought I wanted to spend my entire life doing. Getting the bump in pay and getting to take on new challenges at my work is definitely a positive change, and I'm really looking forward to that. But giving up something that I've enjoyed doing for so long, and the thought that I may never in my life get to do that type of work again, well, I don't know how good that is. But that's change. And change in our life is inevitable. And speaking of changes, I am planning on making some changes to this channel in the near future. Nothing radical, nothing that's going to be a big surprise to you if you've watched this channel for any length of time. I just want to make some tweaks to the types of videos that I post. I want to mix things up a little bit. I want my videos ultimately to be more of a representation of who I am as a person. I want them to be, in a word, more authentic, although I understand how loaded a word that is. I am going to talk about this more as we go along, and maybe I'll make a video about the philosophy behind these changes. I don't know if that topic deserves an entire video, but I guess we'll see. But one thing I do know is that a lot of what I want to do with this channel going forward, it flies in the face of a lot of the conventional wisdom that you get from your typical YouTube guru about the types of videos you should post and how you should present your channel to your viewers. But the majority of the advice you get from these gurus is contingent upon this belief that the purpose, ultimately, of a YouTube channel is to get as many viewers as possible so that creators like me can take a viewer like you and turn you into money. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think that monetizing a channel by itself is necessarily a bad thing. I mean, especially if you're putting out really high quality, high production value content for your viewers. It's not a bad thing to allow them the opportunity to help you continue to do that. I think that's a really good thing. But in my situation and just life in general for me, I don't really feel the need to monetize this channel. I don't need this channel to support me, and I don't need your money. But of course, in the future, when I publish something, or if I put something out there that I'm really proud of and I think you would enjoy, I certainly want to let you know about it. But for the most part, I'm more than happy to make videos for this channel that give away my knowledge and my experience for free. And I hope that you get something out of it. Because ultimately what I want to do with this channel is I want to put out videos that are entertaining, that are educational. And if these are videos that you enjoy and you get something out of, that's really all I need to ever get from this channel. And so all of that to say, well, change is coming. And hold on to your hats, folks, because things are about to get interesting.